It is now just a little after 3:30, and I am headed home after my day at the archery range, or should I say my cut short day at the archery range. Got out to my friend Steve's place about 9:30-ish, and we went straight from his place to the archery range, and it was cool because it's like, it's in Pacifica, which is a coastal city, or coastal town, I should say, in California. And we went to this like golf course slash park thing, and in the back of that they had an archery range. So we got there, and we set up the bows, and I started off at the target range, the practice range, at the 30, the 10 yard mark, the newbie beginner mark, which is fine. But when I was doing that, I was still having the same problem with my hand, drawing the string back on the bow, and I was trying to come up with a way to do it so that I wouldn't have that. I was trying to adjust my hand, see if I could put the string somewhere on the glove so that it would hold it cleaner, and I wasn't really coming up with anything that was working well. I saw one where I would I'd let the string roll across my fingers, but that was twisting the string so that when I fired it, it would affect the way that the arrow released from the bow. So that wasn't the smart thing to do. So after about maybe 3 or 4 rounds of practice arrows, we decided to go on the target trail, and they had 2 different types of target trails. They had one which was just different types of bullseye targets, and the other which was animal targets. Like they had animals on target paper, and you would fire for kill zones and whatnot. And that was cool, being able to do that, doing that, and it had different distances. They had distance markers on the ground, 60 meters, 50 meters, 25 meters, that 10 meters, that kind of thing. And so we went through about 15 of them before the rain started, and then we had to stop. There was 28 in total on this trail that we were on, and we had to stop after 15 because when the rain started, you don't want to get your bows wet because the water can affect the bow and damage it. I just paid for the fucking thing, so I was being extra cautious. It was just drizzling, but we didn't want to take a chance, so I took off my hoodie and I covered the bow, and we walked back to the car, and that was that. So I only got a couple hours in, but it was fun. I enjoyed it. This is definitely something I'm going to do more of. As a target archer, you're supposed to practice like 3 times a week to get your technique down and to keep the muscles active. You don't want to let them get untrained, because that'll make your shooting bad. You want to get your muscles used to specific actions, repetitive actions, so that you can do the same technique over and over and have the same sort of shooting style over and over, which makes sense. I mean, anybody who plays any sort of sport that has repetitive actions, like golf or tennis, things like that, that there are certain techniques that you have to practice over and over and over again and get them so that they become routine. Well, it's the same thing with shooting arrows. The reason why it was really sad that the rain ended it, not necessarily because it stopped early, because that it sucked, but it wasn't until like I'd say maybe target number 12 that I was able to figure out a good way to fire to pull on the string, and A, not have it hurt, and B, not have my hand shake. And it was by accident. I came across it by accident. There are 2 main ways that I've been shown, and that most people will show you how to draw on a string. It involves 3 fingers, right? One way, you have 1 finger above the knock and 2 below, so you fire like this. It's a bad angle, but you got 2 below and 1 above, so you're pulling like that. The other way is 3 together below the knock. The knock is the back part of the arrow that connects to the string. That little piece of plastic or wood or whatever that connects to the string, that's the knock. So you either have 1 above and 2 below, or 3 below. And the guy that instructed me when I got the bow suggested I should definitely shoot with 3 below. But I never felt comfortable doing that. It didn't feel right. I was used to firing with 1 above and 2 below because that's how I was shown originally. And that's what I've done ever since. But even doing that, my hand was still doing this. It was driving me fucking nuts. So anyway, I put 1 above and I had 2 below, but I had them slightly separated, so I was covering more string rather than dedicated. I was covering more tension space over my fingers, and I was getting a little bit more string. and I was shooting straighter, and it wasn't hurting, and my hand wasn't shaking. And I didn't discover that until like the 12th target. So that was kind of a bummer. But at least I now know what I need to do with my hands to make it better. Now I can focus on the technique. Part of the process is you're supposed to remember the release of the string. It's not just letting it go. You're supposed to, a full action. You're supposed to pull all the way back instead of just this. You're supposed to pull back. And I kept forgetting to do that. But that, by doing the release, it causes, it's a cleaner release of the string, and the arrow flies straighter and more pure. And it's noticeable. I mean, somebody who has a good release, you can see, because the arrow is just, it doesn't wobble, it doesn't shake, it doesn't look like it's doing some sort of dolphin thing. It's just straight from the bow to the target. Very clean, very straight. And that's what I want. I want my arrow shots to be good, to look like that. So, in the beginning, of course, I was busy focusing on trying to hit the target, and I was missing. So I was kind of bummed out about that. My friend kept saying, don't worry about hitting the target, just worry about, technique. Just worry about the proper way to fire the bow. Just focus on that. As long as you're hitting the haystack or you're hitting the target paper, that's great, but you want to focus on this. So it took me a couple targets to just sort of get that out of my head, but I'm still having problems with the release of the string. So, yeah, it was fun. I really enjoyed it. I had a good time. I have a bruise on my forearm for when the string hit, and my forearm guard had been twisted a little bit, so it caught me, and that's funny. And these fingers are still a little bit in pain, but that's okay because it's worth it. It's good pain. So there you go. That was my before going and after going, and I wasn't able to record while I was there because my hands were full. I had my quiver, my arrows, and my bow, so I couldn't pull out my camera and record. But maybe next time I'll show you what's going on. Get Steve on camera. Alright, until then, I guess I will talk to you all later.